Okay, here's how to beat Owl Father in Hirata Estate. By this stage of the game you probably already have all the skills you need, but just quickly, these are the ones you'll want. Makiri counter for Owl Father's Perilous Thrust, Shinobi Eyes for doing more posture damage after a Makiri counter, Mid-air Deflection may come in handy for blocking shurikens while jumping, Mid-air Combat Arts so that you can activate your combat art while airborne, Ascending Carp for more posture damage from a deflection, Descending Carp to make your attacks more damaging after a deflection, and Flowing Water to reduce the amount of posture damage Owl Father gives you. Combat art of choice is Mortal Draw, as it's the perfect way to chunk into Owl Father's vitality, which, the lower that gets, the easier it becomes to break his posture. You can also see I have an attack power of 9 in this fight. If yours is lower, the basic strategy for beating him stays the same. It just means the fight will go a little longer for you than it does for me in these clips. Regarding Mortal Draw, we'll only activate it after Owl Father does 2 specific moves. We'll use it after we jump his Perilous Swipe attack, and we'll use it the moment after we dodge to the right to avoid his Somersault attack. It's a bit hard to notice in these clips, but after you jump his Perilous Swipe attack, you want to activate Mortal Draw while you're still in the air, which you can only do as long as you have the mid-air combat art unlocked. Mortal Draw takes a little to get going, so by activating it while you are still in the air, you'll have a higher chance of interrupting whatever Owl Father does next, which is usually an attack but sometimes is an attempt to jump away. Occasionally he'll beat you and get out of range, but if you activate it in the air, the odds are way in your favour that he won't. Mortal Draw is activated by pressing block and attack together, but remember to press attack a second time to get the second swipe, otherwise you'll be wasting a damage opportunity. For the rest of the fight, go easy on using Mortal Draw, as if used at the wrong time, its slow build-up will get interrupted by Owl and possibly get you killed. The rest of the fight is about waiting patiently for the moves where we can use Mortal Draw, and that means getting comfortable with avoiding and deflecting his full range of attacks, which isn't as hard as it sounds. His range of moves is pretty limited and arguably easier to get a handle on than most bosses in the game. One of the reasons for that is he has a lot of quick counterattacks that are triggered by pressing attack. But if all you ever do is counterattack, you'll find a lot of those troublesome triggered attacks won't ever happen, leaving you just a few simple attack patterns to get a handle on to be able to hang with him for as long as you want. The clip playing now is me doing exactly that in phase 1 of the fight. I'm only deflecting and not attacking, which leaves him doing the exact same attack patterns he'd do if you play a counterattack strategy against him. So let's look at those attack patterns now. He often zigzags before an attack. A common one is he'll zigzag, throw a shuriken, and then somersault in. Dodge the somersault at the last moment to the right and activate Mortal Draw immediately. Obviously I didn't there as I'm deflecting only in this clip, but that's what you would do. He will often kick off you to jump back. The kick damages your posture slightly, but it's not something to worry about in and of itself. Firecrackers, on the other hand, are. In fact, they're about the most dangerous thing he has to offer in phase 1 because he throws them a lot. They can be avoided by dodging and running forward if you're close to him when he throws them, but if you're playing a counterattack strategy like I'm suggesting here, then jumping back and away from them will always keep you safe, providing you react as soon as you recognize the firecracker attack is coming. Since he throws firecrackers a lot, you should play the entirety of phase 1 constantly looking for the tell that he's going to throw them so that you never get caught, so that you can always jump back in time. You'll see him reach his left arm across his body. He'll then throw the firecrackers with that arm while jumping away, leaving a grey cloud of them in his wake. Here I pause so I can show that, but you should already be jumping back the moment you see him reach for them. The left arm reaching across isn't the only tell you have to look for though. Another tell that he's going to throw firecrackers comes when, midway through a combo, he'll try to ram you with a side elbow. The moment you block the swipe he does immediately after he rams you with that elbow, you'll want to jump back. So he comes in and he swipes, and then he does another swipe. Now he does his backwards or sidewards elbow. As soon as you see that, a swipe will come, deflect it, and then jump back and away because you know the firecrackers are coming. Be aware that he won't always just do 2 swipes before he does the elbow though. Sometimes he'll do 3 or even 4 swipes and then the elbow will come out. The only certainty is there'll always be a swipe you have to deflect just after he does the elbow ram, after which you jump away. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he did 4, elbow, another swipe, and then you jump away. Notice then that I almost got caught by the firecrackers because my back was to the wall when he threw them, so I had nowhere to jump back. I saved myself by jumping a second time off the wall, which you'll see in this slow motion clip, but doing that won't always work. So another big tip of mine is, with this fight, always keep the fight positioned in the middle of the arena so you always have space to move in either direction. Keep your back away from the pillars as well. As long as your back is not facing a wall or up against a wall, and so long as your back is not facing a pillar, every time he does any move that attacks you that requires you to jump away from, you'll always have somewhere to go. Once you avoid his firecrackers though, there's a good chance he'll do an immediate follow-up attack of some kind, so you're going to have to be ready for that. He might throw a shuriken and then rush forward with a big hefty sword swipe. He might also do a perilous attack which you can Mikiri counter. His perilous attack warning symbol can be a bit hard to see until the last minute though, so I recommend looking at him as he jumps back to see if he kind of crouches down into a springing position as he lands. That's the real tell that the perilous attack is going to shoot through the firecrackers. You don't have to panic or rush though, the game is very forgiving on the Mikiri counter here. Rapid tapping block will catch every other attack type, so just keep tapping block while searching for the signs that the perilous attack is coming. Pressing dodge once the red kanji symbol is fading away is the way to counter perfectly, so even if you barely see it, Mikiri countering at the last minute will still work just fine. Remember, I'm only deflecting in this clip, but when he does his perilous swipe attack you want to jump it and follow up with a mortal draw attack. If you don't, he'll usually follow up with a big downward swipe of his sword. The two defenses to that are dodging to the right at the very last second or deflecting at the very last second. Don't dodge too early as he'll change the attack to a swipe, and don't block too early as the hit is too hard to block normally without either taking damage or getting stunned. But this is an attack of his you'll almost never see, because once again, every time you jump his perilous swipe attack, you'll be activating Mortal Draw, which prevents him from ever being able to do that attack. Oh, and also be aware he can follow a firecracker attack with yet another firecracker attack. And one of the follow-ups after a firecracker attack is that he can simply do nothing at all. And that's it for his key attacks in Phase 1. The rest of his attacks are basic sword deflects, most of which can be caught by rapid tapping block. Just be sure to hold block wherever you can to recover your posture, as his attacks do big posture damage, especially if your deflects are off. So you also want to try to deflect as much as you can rather than just spam tapping and hoping. So while you wait for the moves you'll counter with Mortal Draw, you'll be spending most of your time deflecting, holding block to recover, and repositioning yourself to the center of the arena, all the while watching closely for the tells of firecracker attacks so you can jump back to safety in time. And every time you jump back to safety from the firecrackers, just spam tap block while looking to see if the Mikiri counterable perilous attack is going to follow. Soon we'll go through a couple of extra attacks you can throw into the mix that are safe, other than Mortal Draw, but before we do that, let's look at what changes in Phase 2. Here he gets a Spirit Owl. If Owl Father vanishes, you want to run away from the Spirit Owl, because if it gets above you, Owl Father will appear where the Spirit Owl is and drop on you with an attack. It's tricky because when he vanishes, the camera locks off, so you've got to stay aware of where you think the Spirit Owl is to avoid it. You'll know Owl Father has reappeared if you either hear him land with a crashing thud, or, if you're close enough, the screen will shake pretty badly from his landing. As soon as you think he has landed, turn around and lock on again. The owl also flies around the whole time, but it is no threat unless Owl Father has vanished and merged with it. Periodically, he'll call the Spirit Owl back to his hand. When he does, he charges it into a Fire Owl attack. This attack is very easily countered by just jumping when the Fire Owl is just about to hit you. Immediately after jumping, you'll need to do a Mikiri counter, because he will always follow the Fire Owl attack with a Perilous Thrust attack. So in slow motion, he calls the owl back, he charges it into fire, and then throws the Fire Owl at you. You jump it at the last moment. He then does his Perilous Thrust attack, which you Mikiri counter. And that's the way that attack combo goes 100% of the time. And believe it or not, that's it for the major differences in Phase 2. One attack that you run away from, and one that you jump and Mikiri counter. The rest of this phase can be played just like Phase 1, except that he will throw more shurikens at you, so be on guard for more projectile attacks. He'll nearly always throw one after he does the kick off you to jump back. So once again, I've been demonstrating his Phase 2 moves by purely deflecting and not attacking back. I've already shown how to use Mortal Draw, but don't just play defensively like these demo clips, as it will get you nowhere. Fortunately, there are plenty of opportunities to safely hit him without using Mortal Draw and just using basic sword swipes. So let's take a look at those now. In Phase 1, when he jumps off you to jump back, you can pretty much get away with running after him immediately and giving him a swipe at the end of your sprint, like this. You may be able to get in another swipe, but generally try to block after the initial swipe. You can also trade with him a little bit, go back and forth like that. To trade with him properly, you want to deflect perfectly, then give him a single swipe, then deflect perfectly and give a single swipe. In this clip, I don't actually deflect perfectly. I miss one of those deflects there, and that breaks the trade for trade loop. So yeah, you have to trade perfectly to keep this going, otherwise eventually he'll jump back because the loop is broken. After you Makiri counter any of his perilous thrust attacks, you can always get in 3 swipes. Don't try to mortal draw after a Makiri counter though, as he'll almost certainly avoid it. Just get in your 3 swipes. If he throws firecrackers without jumping back, you can also sprint forward and get in a sprint swipe for free. Before the fight begins, you can pop a Divine Confetti and an Echo Sugar, and then you can try your luck doing a sprint at him to get in a sprint swipe for free right from the start, maybe even an extra one like I do here. Just be sure to always deflect immediately after attacking, as he will nearly always counter attack instantly. So here I get a couple of mortal draws, after which he counters with 3 swipes, at the end of which he pauses slightly. If you deflect a combo and see him pause, you'll generally be safe to get in a single swipe, or usually 2, before he'll attack back. And that's all there is to this fight. If you focus on only counter attacking the way I've shown and using mortal draw whenever he does his somersault and perilous swipe, then you'll only have a few very clear attack patterns to think about and can concentrate on getting your timing right on deflecting or avoiding everything else. If you don't deviate from what I've shown, you won't trigger any moves I haven't shown either. Also, never do a thrust attack. If you attack, leave it to the sprint swipe, single or double swipes, and mortal draw of course. If you do a thrust attack, he'll likely make you pay for it, as one of his triggered moves is a thrust counter and he pulls it off 99% of the time. The rest is just about getting your eye in to spot his major attack tells, which you've already seen, so all you need is a bit of familiarity with them to be able to safely counter them every time. And if I have one tip that I think is more important than them all, it's to relax. Owl Father is fast and he hits hard, but if you relax and don't panic, you'll find this fight isn't nearly as hard as it first appears. What I'll do now is play a clip of fighting him from start to finish so you can see it all put together. I've already explained everything I need to, I think, so I won't talk over the clip. Just watch it and take note of how I'm putting together everything I've said so far. If anything isn't clear, fire away in the comments and I'll help out where I can. Enjoy.
内に心地よいものだ。